thanks a lot for joining our Music Without Barriers webinar. We are Felicia Interfaces, and we are the manufacturers of Cosmo, which is an accessible and inclusive musical instrument. My name is Eva, and I'm the head of community. We've got Susan with us here as well, who's our head of partnerships and sales. And we've got Renee, who's our purchasing manager, and Renee coordinates our production line. So very, very important role. We'll have Alexandros joining us here as well, who's our head of engineering. So if you want to ask some tricky product questions, then you're more than welcome to do that. Okay. Bear with me, apologies. Got some pop-ups here. Okay, so a little bit about the agenda and housekeeping rules. I've mentioned about the recording. In terms of questions, we'll have time for Q&A towards the end. Feel free to pop your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure to read them out loud for everyone and answer them towards the end. To begin with, I'll talk very briefly about the benefits of music for the development of life skills for students with special needs. And you will all know a lot about this, so that is to kind of set the stage. And it's very, very important to keep emphasizing the immense potential that music has to kind of create opportunities for students to express themselves and to work on skills in a safe environment. We'll talk a little bit about the role of tech in improving access to music and where Cosmo comes into that discussion. Finally, a little bit about aligning Cosmo with the Sounds of Intent framework, and most importantly, how Cosmo is being used in practice. And we're very lucky to be joined today by representatives from Lancashire and Leicestershire Music Service, Ben and Anna, who have very kindly agreed to say a couple of words about their music tech libraries and the role of Cosmo. So we'll get to that, and thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so as I said, music has such an immense potential for students with special needs, and that's what Cosmo is all about. So it's really helpful for the development of emotional and social skills, for learning empathy, different ways of expressing emotions, sensory regulation, for learning teamwork, skills like taking turns, waiting skills, for cognitive skills, working on memory patterns, following sequences, attention, concentration, for physical development. And you will be able to see that that's very prominent with Cosmo, how students can work on improving a range of movement, on spatial awareness, and other fine and gross motor skills. Speech and language, as I said, that alternative ways of expressing students' wants and needs and preferences. And for nonverbal students, voice and speech and language is not the only way of communication, and music really has a very important role to play here. And music is a really great way to build confidence and resilience. And what's the role of tech here? So that's where Cosmo, but also other many wonderful tools and resources come in. So we know that traditional instruments are not accessible for all of the students, and students with limited physical mobility, with sensory issues, with cognitive issues, will sometimes struggle with accessing the traditional instruments. So there is the need for that tailored and accessible and inclusive digital tech. So technology that will be adaptable to the individual needs of the students, that will be simple, consistent, and easy to use. And also one thing that we've observed over the years that we think that's kind of maybe not mentioned and not emphasized that often is the visual appeal that will foster engagement both for students with SEND, but also students without any conditions, neurotypical students, and will have that power of facilitating mixed ability and inclusive play. And that can facilitate, sort of improve motivation for students to participate in music and the arts, but also it can be a bridge for students to work on other skills. Wonderful. I will just take a pause and just double check if no one has joined in the waiting room. So please bear with me just to make sure that we haven't missed anyone. Perfect. Okay, back to the presentation. So what is Cosmo? For those of you who haven't heard about Cosmo before, as I mentioned, it's an accessible musical instrument, and that is how our journey started. So we've created Cosmo initially as an inclusive musical instrument, and we wanted to use that combination of touch, lights, sounds, and multisensory feedback to get students to be motivated and enjoy learning. Over the years, we've expanded Cosmo to support different areas of education and therapy, but music is still a core part of what we do. The product consists of two parts. The first part is the Cosmo Training iPad app, which has currently 37 activities for music, but also for cognitive, physical development, for speech and language, for social skills, for cause and effect skills, and for numeracy skills. And that's a growing number of activities. And the way you access those activities is with Cosmites. So Cosmites are Bluetooth devices that light up in different colors, are activated by touch, like you can see here. They are very adaptable, very robust, very robust. So really good for different environments. And you connect them via Bluetooth to our activities. And there are two main ways that you can interact with those activities. One is that you will be pressing the buttons, the Cosmites, and you will be producing sounds, or you will be tapping the Cosmite and you will be activating different instrumental loops. So that gives students that sense of creation and creativity and control. And the other way that you can interact with Cosmites is that they will light up. So they will display different light patterns, encouraging you to work on memory skills, on spatial awareness, shifting your sight from right to the left. So that really where it comes to support those different skills that I initially mentioned. And perfect. Okay. Next slide. So when it comes to music, what can you do with Cosmo? So you can play a variety of different instruments. You can play, we've got someone in the waiting room, bear with me. I have to stop sharing my presentation to admit. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so yes, you can play a variety of instruments. So as I mentioned, you tap the Cosmites and you will be playing different instrumental loops. So you press one Cosmite, it will light up in yellow and it will start playing drums. Then you tap another Cosmite, it will light up in purple and it will start playing bass guitar. You tap another Cosmite, it will light up in different color and it will add violin to it. And all of that will form a comprehensive musical piece. Apart from instrumental loops, you can press the Cosmites to play different notes. So you can learn scales, you can explore different musical concepts. And you can record different sounds as well. So you can record your voice, you can record different instruments, different sounds, and then you can loop them. So you can use that for more advanced music making. And lastly, but a very important feature here is that you can connect our Cosmites as accessible controllers with music apps to be able to play a wider range of instruments in a very accessible way. So two examples here are GarageBand and Thumb Jam, and I'll show a very brief video where you will be able to see how that works. And it's fun, and I know that it may sound kind of simple, but that's what Cosmo is all about. It's playful, it's joyful, and it's that fun element that really sparks engagement and is a bridge towards learning. Brilliant. Okay, so I will play the video, and we had some technical issues before, so you will have to let me know if you can hear the sound. And if you don't hear the sound, then I'll share the video through YouTube. So let's test. You can hear the sound. I've got a thumbs up from Alexandros. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so so you were able to see some of the activities that demonstrated that type of interaction, that when you press, you can record, you can play different notes, you can play different instrumental loops. You could see students working individually as a group, students with, you were able to see students with limited mobility, kind of demonstrating that touch sensitivity of the buttons and accessibility. I would like to talk a little bit more closely about 3 selected activities that show the range of what you can do, and they show different difficulty levels and how you can progress within Cosmo with your music skills. So the first one is exploration, and that wasn't part of the video. The way you play exploration is that you select a music track, and you tap the Cosmoid to play the music track. So you will tap the Cosmoid and you will hold on to it. The music will play for as long as you keep your hand pressed on the button, and then you release your hand and the music will pause. And then you can press again, play the music for as long as you wish, and then release your hand to pause. In this activity, you will learn cause and effect skills, but then you will also start to learn basic sound awareness and intentional interaction. So you will be tapping the Cosmoid to produce the sounds. Then moving on to my orchestra activity, which you were able to see in the video. In my orchestra, you can trigger different instrumental loops by tapping the individual Cosmoid. So that's the activity where I mentioned if you press one Cosmoid, you start playing drums, and then you press another and you add bass guitar to it, and then you tap another and you add electric guitar to it. So all of that will form a consistent music piece together. So that's a very quick reward for students. In this activity, you can begin to learn basic rhythm response, teamwork, and then other life skills like communication, following instructions from the orchestra conductor, for example, watching body language. And the last one here is improvisation, but there are many more music activities in the app. Improvisation is one that gives you more advanced ways of music making. So in this activity, you tap individual Cosmoids to play individual musical notes. So you learn music notation, scales, and you can begin to learn music composition as well. The way the activities look from inside, so this is exploration. So this is the basic interface that you will see in the app. So as you can see, it's very basic instruction. You just tap the Cosmoid to play music, and then you release your hands to pause the music. So what you do here, you select the color of the Cosmoid that you would like to use based on your students' preferences. You select music track, either from our library in the app. As you can see here, we've featured some tracks from Digit Music, which you may know as well. A lot of you will definitely know Digit Music, which is an amazing musical instrument. And then you can add your tracks from iTunes and Apple Music as well. So you can make it more engaging for students. My Orchestra, similar interface. You select music track. Here we have around 20 different music tracks, which include pop, rock music, jazz, some salsa, some classical music, and accordingly, you will be exploring different instruments here. And improvisation, this is very exciting because that's a very new view of improvisation, which will be available soon. So the new addition to the Cosmo training app is the expansion to 8 devices. So you were able to see in some other activities that you can connect up to 6 Cosmo devices. And you don't have to use all 6. You can use 1, 2, 3, depending on the individual abilities of your students. And that offers you quite a nice opportunity for progression as well. So you can start with recognizing 1 instrument, then you can progress to 2, 3, 4, whenever you feel like your student is ready. And in improvisation, you will soon be able to connect up to 8 devices. So that expands for you to be able to play the full octave. And this is only available for the improvisation activity for now, but we are planning how we could expand that to different activities as well. So here you can choose what instruments you want to play. You can assign different musical notes for different colors. You can select a backing music track, so you can either tap the Cosmoids and recognize the sounds without anything playing in the background, but you can play backing music track as well, which you can add from iTunes and Apple Music as well, so that you can learn to maybe match the sounds. And in this activity, you can use the MIDI option to connect our devices to GarageBand, Jam, and other music making apps. So you will follow the same process here. You will simply map different notes to different colors, then go to GarageBand, and you will be able to play all the different instruments available there. And this is a very, very quick video showing you how that works. So I will press play. And just a quick sound check, it should work. Perfect, it is working. Perfect. Okay, so I hope you were able to hear that. Perfect. Okay, so you may have noticed some personalization features available in the app. The number of Cosmoids being one of them. I mentioned that for the majority of the activities, you can connect up to 6 Cosmoids. For improvisation, you can use up to 8. Well, we'll very soon be able to use up to 8. You can choose whether you want to play with music, without music. Sometimes it may be too much sensory feedback for students, so you can kind of play around with it to adjust. And then some other things is touch sensitivity. I've mentioned that the Cosmoids are touch sensitive, but you can play around with that. So, so that touch sensitivity can be set to 100%. Meaning that you will require very gentle touch to activate the devices, which is a very good feature for students with limited mobility. But then you can decrease touch sensitivity to, let's say, 50%, which means that you will have to use twice as much pressure to get the same response to play the sound, for example. So if you have students who require a little bit more challenge, or students who are working towards some physiotherapy goals, this is a good feature to play with. For the voice recording apps, you've got microphone sensitivity and recording duration. So sensitivity from low to medium to high, depending on how loud your environment is. If it's a loud classroom, then maybe you want to adjust that. And recording duration currently between 2 to 7 seconds. But if you feel there is a need for a longer duration, then I'm sure that's something that we can figure out for you. Colors, 6 basic colors for those activities that support up to 6 devices, and 8 colors for improvisation. However, we offer more shades of those colors as well. which has been introduced as an adjustment for students with different types of color blindness, so that you can mix and match different color combinations. So there are no fixed matches here. Brilliant. And very briefly on the sounds of intent, if you're looking to incorporate Cosmo in a more formal way, then here is an example for those 3 activities that we covered. That shows increased difficulty and progression. So for exploration, you can begin to show an awareness of sounds, and you can begin to intentionally control the sounds through tapping of the cosmoids. In my orchestra, you're exposed to a wide range of music, and then you can activate the different instrumental loops. So you can control music either individually or within the team. And in improvisations, you can learn to create patterns, respond to patterns, and then again, work as a team to create a piece together. So a very rewarding activity. Perfect. And now moving on to research and use cases. So the best part of this webinar, we did in 2018, we did research with researchers from Birmingham and Cambridge that aimed to investigate how that mix of accessible tech, the colors, the touch, the multisensory feedback, and music can improve engagement for autistic students and with intellectual disabilities. And the research also investigated how that impacts social interaction and communication. And if you're interested in reading the full paper and diving into details, then we'll share the presentation with you afterwards, so you'll have links. And alternatively, you can also watch a webinar where we met with the researchers and they talked about the methodology and the results. Wonderful. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, we are very lucky to be joined by Lancashire Music Service and Leicestershire Music Service. So Lancashire Music Service has just won 2 Music Mark Awards. So very well done. And Ben, if you're here with us, which I think you are.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
I'll give the microphone to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eva. And yeah, well done on the presentation. I know running these types of meetings, it's really frustrating when you're presenting and you have a presentation up and then you have to close it to let people in, and then it messes up your stride. So well done on presenting all that information so clearly. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ben Rapp. I'm Deputy Head of Service at Lancashire Music Service. And today is a really good day because actually today is Lancashire Day, which is it commemorates the day in 1295 when the first elected representatives went to Westminster to meet King Edward I. Who knew? So that was on our council intranet this morning. So yeah, it's Lancashire Day today. As Eva said, we were really happy last week that we were awarded two Music Mark Awards. These are for our Accessible Instruments and Technology Library. I'm happy to show that, or Eva, if you want to show that, if you want to share your screen, it might be useful to see the website either now or at the end of the session, whatever works for you. Either way,
I'm very happy to share the website right now. So bear with me, and I'll put it up now.
Okay. So for those, just for anyone that doesn't know, what we did is in 2021 we commissioned Drake Music to basically work with our specialist schools in Lancashire, and we have 30 of those, to see which resources and technology they had for accessible music making. The results of that were that they had very little. So as part of our music tech strategy, what we have done is created a library of resources, and Cosmo is very much part of that. And what we do is we have the resources that you can see now on screen. We piloted these and worked with the brilliant Ben Sellers. If you know Ben, he's done work nationally as a real expert in specialist school music making and teaching. So he piloted these resources in our specialist schools. He has created teaching guides and really, really nice how-to videos, so how to use the resources, and also some really nice footage of him using the resources in our schools in Lancashire as well. So all I would say is Cosmo, and I'm not saying this because of the call we're on, Cosmo has been really, really popular. That's for a few different reasons. It's been popular because not just the music coordinator in the school has wanted to use them. So it's been really popular among teachers of other subjects across our specialist schools, because they can see use cases for them in their classrooms, apart from just what he was showing as well. They look brilliant, especially if the lights are dimmed, or you're trying to make a really nice sort of learning atmosphere, and the lights are dimmed. You can see these cosmoids glowing beautifully. You can set the colors up really nicely. I like the thing about the color blindness as well, because I'm partially colorblind as well, so that helps me as well. So that's a really useful part of the system as well. But they have been universally popular in the schools that they have been into. So we've got 3 sets at the minute. For those people that are joining us from hubs or music services, you will probably be aware of the capital grant. As part of our capital grant, we are looking to purchase some more sets of Cosmo, so that we can expand the options that we have for our schools. Because at the minute, our library is open to our specialist schools. In September 25, the plan is that the library will then be opened up to our secondary schools as well. So the 3 sets that we have at the minute are not going to go far, because we've got 82 secondary schools in Lancashire. So we need to purchase some more sets so that we can try and be more equitable across the county in terms of our offer. So that's a little bit about the library and how we've worked with Cosmo as part of the resources that we have in there. And like I said, not just because we're on the call, but they have been really, really popular in terms of the schools we've lent those out to.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you very much. That's
Is there anything that I missed?
No, I think you covered everything very well. And I would love to give the mic to Anna as well. But before I do, if there are any questions to Ben, then please feel free to either ask now, or you can put your question in the chat as well. Okay, so I'll talk about some other very short use cases as well. But yeah, I would like to hand over the mic to Anna. Anna is an SEND music lead from Leicestershire Music Service and has been using Cosmo for some time as well. So yeah, Anna, over to you. And I'm not sure if your sound is on, if you can just test.
Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's getting very dark in here. I'm disappearing. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Ben. That was really fantastic. I have been having a look at your website actually today, funnily enough. I'm very impressed. So I work with Leicestershire Music as their SEND music leader, and we are somewhere back in the journey that Lancashire have been on of trying to grow our accessible instruments library. Obviously with a view to capital grants funding coming in ahead of us as well. As part of that, I've been trialing one Cosmo for the hub in some of the work that I do with our special schools. And I've taken it particularly to an open orchestra project that I do. So it's been really fantastic. I have a range of pupils. Some of them are in their first year at open orchestra, and some of them have been with me 3 years now. So I've used it in lots of different ways across that day. I've found that for my first years, it's been really good for the exploration side and my orchestra. That's instantly engaging. It's very instinctive for a lot of those pupils. We've used it to illustrate cause and effect, that they have this control of the music for taking turns, direction of music, following direction, start and stop, that kind of thing, and just have fun and to get them involved in their orchestra in a happy way, really. And then I think for me as a music specialist going, I always feel like I need to offer something a bit extra as well. I think that side of it is so appealing to our non-specialist teachers at school. So going forward, we can see lots of them sort of circling around going, that looks easy. It's very easy to set up. It's very easy to follow. Something instantly engaging they can do. But for myself, I really love the improvisation section. So pulling children into my orchestra and being able to assign them specific notes and even the colours that match. I use Composer. I use the arrow notes with Composer. So being able to match and fit into a piece of music with those colours and those notes has been really, really useful. I found it particularly useful for a girl with visual impairment because they can be really bright and they're a really good size. So she's able to navigate her way around a few different notes as well. So yeah, I've used it in all the different ways you've mentioned already, depending on the pupils. So yeah, really, really positive and really looking forward to using it more.
Thank you very much, Anna. I'm super happy that you mentioned like the joy and then like and engagement and just the fun aspect of it, because that's what it's all about. So very, very happy to hear that. Okay, and I think we'll be slowly closing the session. So what I will do is that I will just share my screen again for a very brief second. If you'd like to dive into some other examples, we've been working with Artis Music Conservatorium, which is University of the Arts in the Netherlands, and they use Cosmo for neurologic music therapy. In 2021, they published a book called Navigating Music Tech, where they focus on not only Cosmo, but some other great accessible music technologies, and they give very, very specific examples of how to incorporate those instruments in education and therapy. And we've linked a selected case study from Corbett's Tay School, which talks about the incorporation of the My Orchestra activity to work on collaboration and communication skills of the autistic students. So you will be able to follow the links to get a little bit more details. And that is it. We'll hang around for a few more minutes if anyone has any questions. If you would like to stay in touch with us, we listed our website here, my email address, and our contact